Hello, this is Faith at Faith and Books. Happy Thanksgiving. I guess it's still Thanksgiving weekend. We had a very nice Thanksgiving. My daughter who lives nearby and her husband and their little 15-month-old son, who I babysit almost every week, came over, and then the big thing was that my son who lives up in Boston and his wife and their little 7-month-old daughter came down from Boston and stayed with us, and so that was nice. They get tested all the time for their work, and so they knew they were negative, and so I hope it was okay. But we hadn't seen them since the summer, so it was really nice to see them again, and so it was really pleasant, and the weather was beautiful. We ate outside, so we were like social distancing and stuff. Anyway, it was a really nice Thanksgiving. The food was all good, and the bad news though was that yesterday morning we found out that my sister, who has Down syndrome and lives in a group home about 15 minutes from here, tested positive for COVID. She hasn't exhibited any symptoms yet, but my nephew, who's in the military, also got it, and he didn't exhibit any symptoms until like 8 days after he was exposed. And he had a medium case. It wasn't mild, but it wasn't horrible. But anyway, so we're very worried about her. She has Down syndrome, and I don't think things go well if you're Downs and you have COVID. You just can't communicate. It would be horrible. So we're hoping that she's just got it asymptomatically. But we just found that out. We're just trying to figure out how to deal with it because we can't go visit her. So anyways, that is hanging on my heart. My son and daughter-in-law just pulled out. They're on their way back to Boston. So I'm praying that they have a great and safe trip back home. So I just thought I would make this sort of a Friday update, but it's Saturday. But anyway, I did finish Evicted, and it was a very compelling book. Really insightful, really allowed you to empathize with the situation that people are in and this horrible, vicious cycle of eviction. And it was very well written. I can't say I enjoyed it. It really kind of was a bit depressing. But at the end, he has ideas, which I thought were pretty viable ideas, because he points out the fact that it isn't, like liberals tend to see like this, how did he say it? Basically what he was saying is that liberals and conservatives basically categorize the issue differently, but they sort of just miss a really basic economic problem, and that's just that housing prices or the cost of rent or getting shelter has risen so much that it's just a bad economic situation, and you shouldn't have, like most people advise you, that your mortgage or your rent shouldn't be more than 30% of your income. And yet people in low income housing pay 60, 70, 80% of their salary, or their income goes to their rent. So they simply don't have enough to provide for other needs. And so what happens is they fall, things happen, they have to eat, they have to do things, they have to buy other things, and they fall behind on the rent. And this is just a study in Milwaukee, but he's saying it's pretty representative of other cities. And it just, what happens is, it leads landlords, it allows landlords to rent really, really subpar, bad, just bad housing, just unsafe, unsanitary housing, because people are willing to pay anything to get shelter. If it's something that's somewhat affordable, they're willing to pay for it because they're desperate not to be on the streets. And so it allows the landlords to get away with a lot. I mean, it's really unconscionable. You should not be allowed to rent places that, doesn't have running water, or the toilets don't flush, or there's no heat, and that sort of thing. It's Milwaukee, okay, so it gets cold. And the landlords are, making so much more. They're like making 30% more income than their tenants, something like that. I don't remember. Anyway, it's a terrible situation. One of the things that just really just had me aghast was in Milwaukee, I don't know if this is other cities, if you dial 911 because your boyfriend is beating you, that's, a disruption, that's a disturbance of the peace. The police inform your landlord and you can get evicted. So basically, they were punishing women for calling 911. And that's crazy. That's really, really bad. So just weird stuff like that goes on. So at the end, after profiling these 8 different people, and they're different, various, some black, some white, mostly women, 2 men, one white, one black, one falls into addiction. Well, they both had problems with drugs. Drugs are a horrible problem. So what happens is, his point is, when you live in a decent place that's relatively safe, you have a better sense of your self-worth, and it gives you the energy to get out and deal with life's problems. And so it's just having safe shelter, adequate shelter, is just a basic human right. We all need it to survive, and so we should acknowledge that, and we should try harder to make sure that everyone has a roof over their heads, especially women with children. Women and children are the ones that really suffer the most. It's going through an eviction once is really, really traumatizing. Having it be a constant in your life is absolutely devastating. You can't recover from it. You cannot recover from it. I know at my church, a couple of people started a local program called Family Pass, where they help people who are homeless, families who are homeless or about to be homeless. And they said that once someone's homeless, it takes 2 years to get them back on their feet. And so they're trying to prevent homelessness. Which, by the way, I finished my 5K for the Catholics for Housing. I raised $420. That's not that much. Maybe next year I'll be more aggressive in marketing myself as raising money. I posted once on Facebook. Some of my family responded, but I didn't really keep reiterating it because I'd never done it before. But maybe next year I'll do more. But anyway, at least I did $420 for help pay the rent for local people here who are facing problems. Let's see, what else did I want to say about that? Oh yeah, so the 2 things that he talks about at the end, the 2 solutions that he really thought would work, and I kind of agreed with him, is that we need to strengthen our legal aid program, because 90% of landlords have an attorney represent them in court. 90% of tenants don't. In fact, a lot of times tenants just don't show up because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to deal with it. They haven't been able to prepare. They don't have anyone to watch their kids. They have to go to work. They just don't show up. And so and that allows landlords to get away with a lot of really exploiting these poor people who are so desperate they'll take anything, even if it's just a hovel. And so it lets the landlords get away with a lot that they shouldn't get away with, because it's demeaning to the landlords too to get sucked into this terrible thing. It brings out the worst, and it attracts maybe not so good people. So we should commit more money to legal aid so that people can get representation. That should be a right. You should have a right to an attorney if you can't afford one. And then the other thing was, he really believes in housing vouchers. So he acknowledges it takes nuance and that it's going to be different in different cities. They're going to have to handle it differently. But the main gist is whatever your salary is, 30% of that goes to your rent, and then the rest is subsidized. And we would have to come to a general understanding of what decent housing is. So we don't want people, making it a racket and, renting some luxurious place. But on the other hand, we don't want these slumlords to get away with renting horrible, unsafe, unsanitary housing to women and children. So, so that's his. It would take work to develop the policy and all that, but that's his main gist. So that sounded like good solutions to me. Anyway, I really feel like I got edified, and I recommend this book. And then just a quick update on other stuff. Let's see, I forgot to mention that I'm also, I'm part of Kate Howe's Victorian Book Club, and this is what we're reading for, I'm not sure now, maybe it's December and January. And I got this is like, look at that ugly cover. Come on, Dover. That is not a good drawing of Oscar Wilde. But I got this one a couple of weeks ago. But I just got this week. It's a charming little book, The Happy Prince. It's got like this nice gilt. It's got a little ribbon. And then the paper is just really nice. And it's got these lovely, let me get an illustration. It's got these occasional illustrations. It's just a really charming little book. I bought it used from somebody on Amazon, and I'm really pleased with it. I like that. So we're going to read short stories of Oscar Wilde. And then I forgot about the classic spin. So when they announced the new classic spin, instead of going through and getting a whole new list of 20 books, I just took my old list of 20 books, and the one that I read for the last spin was, I think, number 9, and that was the minor works of Jane Austen, which I read. So I just replaced that one with Oscar Wilde short stories as my number 9. But the number this time, the spin number this time was 14, and 14 on that list was this. So Seneca on the Shortness of Life. So, and that's nice and short. And my son, who was visiting, had actually read it and said, I think you'll like it, but his wife didn't. So he said it was kind of a masculine book. But I it's short, and I'm interested in Stoicism. I really, there's aspects of Stoicism that really attract me. I think because I wish I were more Stoic. And I know I have like a lot of emotional ups and downs. I've always wanted to be able to be more calm, cool, and collected. And so it's always sort of appealed to me. Maybe not to an extreme. I don't think I would embrace the whole thing wholeheartedly, but aspects of it I think are helpful for coping. So I have to read this by January 30th, I believe. So that's that. Tomorrow Advent starts. I'm going to start, I still have to finish up the permaculture, so I hope I have that done by the 30th, and then I'll post. And I'm still reading Compassion and Conviction. I'm going to try and finish the 5th chapter today and do some Boxer discussion. And I needed to read, after reading Evicted, I finished that a couple days ago. I needed something more cheerful, so I did start reading Winter Holiday by Arthur Ransom. That's the Swallows and Amazon series. This is the 4th book in the series. I'm enjoying it already. It's wonderful. I'm DNFing this for now. This is Anthony Trollope's The Way We Live Now. We'll see. I may get back to it. And then with the little boy, my little guy that I watch, we finished The Adventures of Chatter the Red Squirrel. He's still really into squirrels. And we got The Adventures of Happy Jack, a gray squirrel. So there you go. There he is right there. So we just started reading him last night. So, yeah, he's still really into squirrels, and he's really enjoying these Thornton W. Burgess books. So we finally moved on from My Father's Dragon, which is a relief to me. Even though I love My Father's Dragon, reading it 6, 7, 8 times is not, can get a little old. So there's probably more to say, but I'm already 14 minutes. Oops. Okay, so I better sign off now. But if you celebrate, happy Advent, and I will talk to you later. Take care. Bye.